What's up, guys? Welcome back to another interview. This time I got another StarCraft 2 player. Of course, my name is Alex Axel Toss Rodriguez. And right now, we're going to bring on a player who is from Canada. Plays StarCraft 2, focuses on studies as well as on Team Quantic Gaming. I present Chris Ostojiy. And I just want to say this really quickly. A lot of people see your name and they're really intimidated. But you're like one of the first guys I talked to. I think when I got into casting, I made absolutely sure I knew to say it right. So Ostojiy, that's how it is. And if you tell me I'm wrong right now, I guess I'll feel really sad. But did I say it right?
Yep, you said it right. It was perfect.
Sick. I'm so happy, man. Thank you so much. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. Yourself?
Pretty good. I hear it's a little bit toasty in Canada.
It's toasty, but it just started raining. We've had like a
Weird.
5-day heat wave, and it's
Oh,
pouring rain right now, so that humidity
that's
should
good.
be gone. Really excited.
So whenever rain comes in, generally it gets a little bit cooler.
Yep.
But you said it was 50 degrees, which doesn't make any sense. That's like really cold.
Yeah, but in Canada, we actually use this thing called Celsius, so it's like I think you multiply it by 2, add 32 is like a rough ballpark, but that's probably wrong.
That's really weird.
Yeah.
And that probably is wrong. You're studying, though. You're in school right now, aren't you?
I am indeed.
So where are we at there? What's your major and what year are you in, I guess? Are you taking summer classes?
So I took history for my first 2 years, and then I transferred to business school for my third and fourth years. I'm going to my fourth year next year, and after that I plan on going to law school, which is
Wow.
super fun because I don't really want to work, so I'm just going to keep going back to school. And it gives me summers to have time off and play StarCraft, which is awesome. So school's great. Stay
Cool.
in school.
So no plans to ever, just ditch school and go full time StarCraft 2.
No, not right now. I might take a year off between my undergraduate and law school, just to get like some of my grades,
Sure.
because you can't get your last semester grades in. So I might take a year off, and obviously, if I did that, I would probably be working, but I'd also have a lot of time to play StarCraft, which would be awesome.
Cool.
But to take a year off solely to focus on StarCraft with that as my intention is unlikely unless I put up some amazing results in the near future.
So where do you see yourself? Obviously, going to law school, being a lawyer. Where do you think you're going to end up as far as like, are you thinking about just living in the States or something, staying in Canada? Have you even thought that far ahead?
Um, yeah, like when you pick your law school, it's tough because generally that's where you are going to end up practicing, is where you go to school. So if I go to the States, I would have to go to a very, very good school, which would cost a lot of money. So I'd need scholarships, which would mean I really got to study a lot for my LSAT, which I'm going to rewrite. But yeah, I plan on staying in Canada, but if I get in somewhere really good, obviously I'll go to Stanford or Cornell, or not Cornell, Stanford.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
California.
that's where I want to go. I want to go to California. There's a great StarCraft scene down there, and a
There
lot
is.
of really cool people.
It's growing too. Of course, EG's down there, Root, and it's growing every day.
Quantic's semi gaming house.
Yes, that was the thing. So let's talk a little bit about that. Obviously, okay, so your history as far as teams are concerned. Let me think back. It's Gosu. I know you're on It's Gosu.
Yep.
And then It's Gosu combined with the Zombie Quantic and Fornaut to make Quantic Gaming. Can you talk about that whole process and how it's been for you?
It's been cool. Like I took 9 months off, which was essentially when Quantic emerged. Is when I took time off for school and to focus on my studies. And as many of you know, I dropped out of WCS World Championships last year to focus on school. So this is the last MLG I was at was actually my first event under Quantic, but it's pretty cool. Having Hyun on my team is amazing. The guy's a monster. He came second that MLG, and he just having him around and being able to ask him strategies, being able to watch his replays is such a cool thing to have as a teammate. But Quantic, the organization is great. I know there's a lot of drama and a lot of negative press surrounding the old team, but it's definitely turned over a new leaf, and there's definitely new management on board. So in that sense, it's definitely looking up, I think, and it's a great bunch of guys on the team. So
Yeah,
happy to be part of it.
Hyun is amazing, and your jersey is pretty darn cool, if I may
Yeah,
say so
they
myself.
are pretty cool.
Um, Oh,
I
yeah,
got my
that's
name
sick.
on it too.
Christopher
Yeah.
Ostojiy. If anyone's wondering how we got the name Ostojiy, this is just a guess. You took the last letter of your last name and you changed it from a C to a Y. How close am I?
Yeah, that
Sick. I should
that is
play.
pretty
I
cool,
should
actually.
play those game shows where they ask you questions and you win money. I think
You
I'd be
win
good
a
at
lot of
that.
money if
We
the
can be
questions are
partners.
that
You want to go on Family Feud with me?
I don't think we're family, but if we,
Of course,
well, do you
wow,
have to be related to be on Family Feud? Is that
you're probably right.
yeah?
Dang it! I was really looking forward to that.
This
Anyway,
could be this could be arranged.
or we can do what's that game show where you line the letters up? Is it Lingo or
Oh,
what is it
Wheel
called?
of Fortune.
No, where you they see now I'm forgetting.
I don't have enough time in my day to watch all the game shows
Yeah,
and
this is
pay
something I used
attention.
to do in like middle school. Just watch it.
Yeah,
I don't have that much time either. I just watch StarCraft, man. But
yeah,
I want to go back to Hyun because you made a pretty interesting comment there as far as being able to ask him questions, interact with him. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Elaborate a little. Like, how much interaction do you have with Hyun or other Korean players? Obviously, Apocalypse being on
yeah.
Quantic, Hwang Sin. What's the language barrier like? Are they making active steps to try to learn English? Are you trying to learn Korean, or how does that
Yeah,
communication really work?
my understanding is that Hyun is going back to Korea, but like he's in Korea right now, obviously, but he's taking English lessons there, and he really loves playing on a foreign team, and he really wants to learn English better. Like he's you can communicate with him, but obviously you can't have a full conversation about the casual things. It's got to be very much broken English with him. So he definitely wants to communicate with his fans. He wants to be able to interact with everyone. So he's taking English lessons, and I think this is what he wants to do: is be a part of the foreign scene.
Cool.
Hwang Sin and Apak have lived in North America, so their English is actually quite good. Hwang Sin especially.
Yeah.
I know he's taken English classes, and he was on It's Gosu with me, so we're actually very good friends. Apak, I had met him before a couple MLGs ago when he was on the old Quantic.
Uh huh.
Wasn't friends with him, but I hung out with him at the last MLG, and boy is he like the nicest guy
He's
ever.
a bubbly guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he is. He's awesome. And
I agree.
the other day I had a LAN in Toronto, and I was like, Apak, I need some ZVT practice. I am awful at this matchup because Widow Mines and Hellbats. This is before the Hellbat patch.
Sure.
Hellbats are so strong, and I really need you to teach me. And the guy spent quite a few hours, grinding games with me, and he was like thanking me for helping him practice, even though I was the one that asked him to practice. So just like the nicest dude in the world, and I love having these Koreans on my team. I mean, Quantic's A team is now like filled with Koreans and
Yeah.
me, but I love them all so much. It's so cool.
Yeah, man. It's honestly hard to really see that side of them. It's something you
Yeah.
can only get in those real interactions. In Apocalypse, I have the same stories, man. One of those guys, like, he comes up to me, he's like, Axeltas, how you doing? I'm like, you know my name. What's up, man? How you doing? We give each other a hug and we just talk. No, he's a really cool guy. No, really cool info. Thanks for sharing. Absolutely. But so moving forward,
Yeah.
obviously you're focusing on school. What are the kind of the biggest challenges? I mean, obviously, like the community doesn't necessarily know how much time you have invested in other stuff, right? So, as far as your results are concerned, obviously, if you spent full time playing StarCraft, your results would probably be better in theory.
Oh,
So, what are the biggest challenges for you as far as trying to balance both StarCraft 2 and other stuff?
so right now I'm working like full time at an office job, which I'm
Oh,
not complaining about. I love my
what do you
job.
do? What do you do?
Uh, I work in commercial real estate asset management, so pretty much just an
Cool.
Excel monkey. So just
Sure.
a
Fair
lot.
enough.
I get to do a lot of stuff, which is cool, and I love my job. But I also spend 7 hours a day on a computer. I come home, and I'm trying to play StarCraft competitively, but oftentimes the last thing I want to do is be on my computer. So
Yeah.
for sure, right now it's really tough for me to find that motivation to be on a computer all day, come home, and then just go right back and grind again. But during the school year, for sure, it's tough to balance, having a social life. Uh, I was taking 8.25 credits with a
Yeah.
5.0 as a regular course load, so I was doing a lot of schoolwork last year.
Jeez.
And obviously, my law school applications the upcoming year, so there's a lot of stuff going on. My first 2 years, I did actually play quite competitively, but I was also in a not as competitive program, which gave me the time. And for sure, anybody that focuses on StarCraft and plays the game invests a huge amount of time. And there's no pro gamer or anyone who's close to pro gamer that has not made huge sacrifices to put StarCraft, as a priority in their life or one of their priorities. And I think a lot of people, um, need to recognize that and realize like how much it takes to become a pro gamer. And if
Yeah.
people retire, it's a decision that's not easy for a lot of people, but it's something that needs to be considered at least because I've invested a ton of time into this game and I've loved every second that I've gotten to travel and meet people. And, I certainly don't regret it, but I look back on all the things that, I may have foregone in exchange for pro gaming. And it's like, what if, but that being said, some of my best memories ever are from StarCraft events. So
It's like one of those
it's a
inevitable
trade-off.
questions. Like, if
Yeah.
going, would you make a different decision? Going back. Like, do you
Yeah.
regret not taking that invitation to the World Championships and going
For
for school
for me,
instead?
WCS was like one of those things where if I said I was going to go, I made every reasonable effort and perhaps some unreasonable ones to get the administration to understand. But I mean, in the West, in North America, it's so tough to
Yeah.
get over the stigma associated with gaming and to make people really understand how important the World Championship Series grand finals were to me and also to the StarCraft community, like what a big tournament it was. So it was tough for me to convey that. I had a lot of people on my side in terms of the StarCraft community, Blizzard employees, people that were willing to contact the school. But in the end, it didn't happen, and it was pretty much a no brainer for me because, well, not a no brainer. It was the toughest decision I think I've ever had to make. But uh, I would have had to essentially redone my year,
Mm,
and I would have failed my program. So it wasn't something that was a light decision for me.
yeah. Thanks for the
Uh,
insight, because I know like there's like it's an unfortunate amount of people out there who like see Ostojiy declining his invite and thinking that you don't care or something, or that you don't want to do it, and that's obviously not the case here.
no, of course not. It was definitely the one of the toughest things I've ever had to do, if not the toughest thing, is saying no to something that I wanted to do so badly. Because there's nothing more that I would love to do than travel and play StarCraft, and it's just the funnest, most fun thing in the world. Uh, Not just the tournaments itself, but the people, the whole experience. The crowds, the fans. It's surreal at times.
Yeah. So you're one of the few, taking on this rigorous schedule in class and then maintaining decent results in StarCraft 2. Obviously, you have much experience with it. What suggestions do you have for people who are looking to do the same thing you are? As far as, okay, they're taking on a lot of course loads or whatever. They're trying to be good at StarCraft 2. They're getting masters, high masters, grand masters, and starting to think, okay, what are the best ways to kind of balance my time? Do you have any tips for those people?
Yeah, like I think if you really want to take StarCraft seriously, it has to come first. And that's part of the reason why I took 9 months off is because I didn't want to half-ass being a pro gamer. The scene is so competitive, even in North America. There's so many people that want to become pro gamers and want to, you know, compete in the WCS that it's it's a matter of committing yourself fully to it. So I'd say if you really want to do well in school, perhaps programming is not necessarily the route to go down. I think I've put up pretty good grades considering how much time I've invested into StarCraft, but it's always a trade-off. And if you want to pursue pro gaming, like I'm all for it, and 100% of the way, but also realize all the things that you're potentially giving up in exchange to do that, and don't make that decision unconsciously and not sort of realizing that when you go home and have to practice for 4 hours every day, that's not going to affect your grades or your social life or athletics or whatever it is that you do outside of StarCraft. It's certainly going to be affected, and not to say that StarCraft isn't better than those things or isn't equally as important, but um, it's just a matter of weighing each one and seeing do I really have the potential to be great at StarCraft. So one of the reasons why I didn't go full time is, and probably never will go full time, is that I would hold myself to the standard of if I went full time, I want to be as good as Stefano or Scarlet at their prime in terms of foreign players, and that's so tough to do. There's only a few examples I can think of players that have actually reached that level of skill,
Sure.
and for me, it's not something that realistically I could see happening fairly easily. So
Is that tough? Like, I mean, from a motivational sense, if you're playing StarCraft 2, you're trying to get the best results possible, but you're kind of a part of you is accepting, okay, it's probably not going to happen as far as you just don't simply have time to invest as much as you want in the game, and that you can never necessarily see you up there on the stage holding the trophy at the end. How does that affect you mentally with that in mind, or do you look at it as like, okay, you might take a year off before law school. That year, you are going for it, kind of a thing.
yeah, and like for sure, motivation is a huge issue for I'd say all players and or competitive players in StarCraft. And yeah, I can tell like last summer before WCS North America, I came second in WCS Canada. There was a huge high and rush off there, and I had like a month and a half before WCS North America, which was at I think Raleigh last
Yes.
year, and I left my job a little bit early so I could just focus on playing, and I ended up coming seventh in that tournament, which was a good accomplishment for me. Obviously, not the end goal, which was first, but I qualified for WCS World Championships, which was my, at least what I wanted to accomplish. And at that time, it was so motivating. I mean, I wasn't competitive at the top of the Korean scene. I wasn't going to win Code S, but within the North American scene, I was certainly capable of taking on any player, and that felt good. It was awesome to be at that level, and I feel like right now I am very close to that level, given my performance on ladder and at the last couple lands I've played in Toronto. I feel like I'm in a good spot, but um, in terms of being able to compete on the very highest level, it's so tough, and it's really demoralizing at times when you go to a tournament and you get beat, by three Koreans or two Koreans, and you just get totally demolished. Sometimes it's better to not play full time because it's less stress on you and it's less stress on me when I go to a tournament and I say, you know what, if I lose to a Korean, it's not the end of the world. This game is hugely important to me, and I practice and I put a lot of work in, but it's not my full time job. So when you're playing full time, it's one of the things you have to consider is that, um, if you lose a tournament and you're not putting up results, there's so much pressure on you to perform and do better that sometimes it can become overwhelming, especially in the North American scene where you don't have the same kind of motivation, the same support that you would have in a Korean pro house. I don't know where I went with that question. That was like all over the place,
No, that
but
was great insight.
kind of
I'm
rambling.
I'm I'm drinking it all up. No, you're fine. Um, let's talk a little about your friends and family. Obviously, doing all this at school, you got obviously trying to travel to tournaments. What are your friends and family? What's their perception on this? And how has that relationship kind of evolved as you've played more StarCraft and got more into the scene and trying to balance both?
Yeah, so I'd say my first tournament I went to that was like a LAN where I flew was Columbus 2011.
Hmm.
And my parents were like, I was 18 at the time, and they were like, "You're gonna go meet up with people from the internet. You don't know these people. They could kill you." And I mean, that's a reasonable reaction from
Certainly,
any parents
certainly.
that have never really understood esports, and they were certainly not a huge fan of me spending as much time as I did playing video games as I'm sure most people can imagine. But when I started to win money, when I started to go get invited to more and more tournaments, and put up actually good results, I got invited to the World BattleNet Invitational in 2011, which is in Blizzard's headquarters in Irvine, California. Amazing event because we got to obviously hang out with all the Blizzard employees.
Sure.
I think that was a huge one when they actually got a chance to see me in WCS Canada, which was at NASL Season 4 in Toronto or Season 3 in Toronto. Um, that was a really cool experience because they actually got to see what a tournament was like live, and I think that's when my parents really understood that it was more than just a video game to me. It was not only an income, but something I was really passionate about, something that not only I was passionate about, but those 10,000 people in the auditorium or in the conference center were also passionate about. And getting a chance to see that was so cool for not only me but also for my parents, I think. And I think that people need to understand it can be really hard for parents or friends that aren't involved in esports to truly understand what it is you do. But I think if they get a chance to go to an MLG or an event like that, you really start to understand how serious esports really is to a lot of people.
Yeah. Oh, I have a quick let's fast forward 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Let's say there's a little Ostojiy running around the house. Um, and he's wanting to get into video games. How do you kind of approach that? Do you have any thoughts on that at all?
Yeah, I think esports 10, 15 years from now is going to be hugely different. Right now, one of the biggest things I see limiting its growth is a lack of professionalism within the industry in general. But as it matures and as more and more people get involved that uh, are more serious about their commitments, we'll see it become more comparable. And we're starting to see that, especially with League of Legends. Riot does an amazing job of holding their players accountable, holding teams accountable, and as an organization doing an awesome job. Blizzard's starting to do that as well. I think. I mean, obviously, there's the huge fiasco with WCS,
Sure.
but I think they're taking steps in the right direction, and esports in general is obviously maturing a lot. So 15 years from now, I think it will be a real profession, and it's really close to that, especially in Korea. But I mean, real in the sense that you can make a good living off of it. It's viewed by at least North American esports. It's viewed by a lot of people as something that is a legitimate career path, and at that point, sure, I'd love my kids to become pro gamers, just as much as I'd love them to become hockey stars.
Sure.
Um, and you know, for sure, if they're good at the game, then I'll encourage it. But it's always got to be a balance, right? You don't
Yeah.
want your kids playing hockey 38 hours a week, just like you don't want your kids playing
Sure.
esports. Well, I guess they could. I play that much sometimes. But yeah, you know, it's got to be balanced until you're at the level where when you can commit that much.
Wow, that's awesome insight. You mentioned hockey. I know you've been playing a little bit of that.
I
How
have.
how has that been going?
Well, I'm not actually. I actually play lacrosse a little more competitively, but
Ah.
as any good Canadian, I do play hockey, ice hockey, ball hockey. It's summer right now, so I played some ball hockey with some friends, and it goes well.
Cool.
You know, I'd never play at university or anything, but you know, in Canada, most people play hockey.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
Fair enough. Good to stay physically fit and active, in my
It
opinion.
is very important
Yeah.
for any pro gamer or anybody, period.
So if you had control of everything, all the resources, all the companies, and you can make 2 or 3 changes in esports or StarCraft 2 or whatever you want, what would you change and why?
One thing I'd do is I'd try to make a coordination between esports organizations. I think you know they're starting to do a little bit better, but um, obviously communication is a big deal. You have to have like uh, a limited number of events going on at the same time that are identical
Hmm.
or not identical, but obviously players shouldn't have the toughest schedules in the world. So that communication not only helps improve efficiency between organizations and overlapping events and you know whatever conflicts may arise, but also you know helps produce the best content for the viewers. And I think that ultimately that's what esports is about. Is it's the industry is nothing without the fans and the viewers. So uh, you know organizations need to do a good job of working together and working with players and working with teams to make sure that people are able to make a living and events are as good as they can be. But you know, for sure, it's tough. There's so many things going on in esports, and it's changing so rapidly that it's impossible to say where it's going to be in a few years.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I agree 100%. But I think we're about to round things up. Thanks for talking to me. It's been a lot of fun. But before we go, I'd like to give you the opportunity to give me a shout out, say anything to your fans. Floor is yours, Mr. Ostojiy.
Yeah. Thanks so much to everyone who supported me, all my friends, obviously everyone at Quantic and all of Quantic's sponsors, my CSL team at Western, and all the viewers and supporters of StarCraft in general, or even just esports. It's been my dream. It's been I think a lot of players' dreams, and to actually see it happen and to see esports essentially develop over the last few years has been one of the coolest things in my life. So thanks so much, guys.
Awesome, awesome, awesome conversation as always, Mr. Ostojiy. Thank you so much for coming on to this interview, and I'll talk to you again soon.
All right, thanks. Also, shout out to Axel Toss because he asked me to
Yeah.
do that.
You don't have to give me shout outs. It's fine. I give my own shout outs at the end, but I'll talk to you later, Ostojiy. Thanks again.
Bye.
See you. All right, guys, that was Chris Ostojiy, awesome Canadian player there, trying to pursue both a career in law as well as staying up at the top in StarCraft 2, and doing a pretty good darn job at it. So definitely look into him and cheer for him in the future, guys. It's been Axel Toss, another StarCraft 2 player interview. Check out MajorLeagueGaming.com for more video game content. I'll see you next time.